You don't know what I've been through. Let me share my story with you. All the things that he brought me through. My stormy days and my rainy days. You don't know all the tears I've cried, the things I've kept bottled up inside, trying my best to be strong, waiting on God and holding on. You don't know what I had to endure.
Gospel 88.7 WEHA. It's more than music. It's ministry.
WEHA, Port Republic, Atlantic City. And now on FM translator 100.3 W262CF, Atlantic City.
Hey, you like football? I know you like football. You looking for a place to watch a Super Bowl? Well, we got you a place to watch some dark football. WEHA's gonna hook you up because Gospel 88.7 and 100.3 FM WEHA, We Have Gospel presents the Sunday Super Bowl Buffet. That's right, it's a buffet going down where you can watch the Super Bowl and eat your favorite foods. It's a large buffet of heavy appetizers and desserts, assorted juices, sodas, punch, and plenty of H2O. It's even going to have some halftime games and giveaways. You know when it's happening, Super Bowl Sunday. That's right, Sunday, February 2nd, 2020. Doors open at 5 p.m. Kickoff is at 6:30 p.m. at the Beacon Hall, 243 St. Louis Avenue, Egg Harbor City, New Jersey. Admission is $20 per person, $10 for children 12 and under. And you better RSVP because it's limited seating. You want tickets? Do you want tickets? I said, do you want tickets? The number to call is 609-641-8870. Or you can get your tickets at WeHaveGospel.com. Super Bowl Sunday, you gotta be at Beacon Hall to see the big game. Of course, we're rooting for the Eagles around here. We're so happy that they got farther than Dallas this year.
WEHA, Christ-centered, community-focused. Deacon William Hawks, President. WEHA is a listener-supported radio station. To make a donation, call 609-641-8870. Visit our headquarters at 3 Canal Drive, Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey, 08234. Or log on to our website, wehavegospel.com.
We have gospel.
If you just tuned in, you're listening to In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon right here on your favorite gospel radio station, WEHA Gospel, 88.7, 100.3 FM. We have gospel. We are live in the studio today, and we have a wonderful program for you today. Happy New Year! 2020 is here, and we're just glad that we're able to be in the land of the living to see another decade. This broadcast is being brought to you by the Hawks family businesses who have been serving our community for over 30 years, and Beacon Hall, turning moments into memories. And also Grace Tabernacle Church, with the Honorable Bishop Wandell Johnson and Pastor Gloria Johnson are our sponsors today, and also James Adams. So thank you so much for sponsoring In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon. Again, happy New Year. All right, so I'm just glad to be here. There are a lot of things that are going on. First, I just want to say our thoughts and prayers are with Pastor Flossie DuBois' family. Her funeral will be today at the Lighthouse, and certainly we're praying for all people who have lost a loved one on a national level. The life and legacy of the Bishop Ralph Donnie Graves will be held today too. And that's going to be at the Mount Calvary Word of Faith Church, 3100 Sandalfield Road in Raleigh, North Carolina. So we're keeping the Graves family in prayer. And many of you who go way, way back, I mean, you got to go way back and remember Evangelist Annie Pearl Harrison. She used to run a lot of revivals in Atlantic City at my church. This is her son. He's going to lie in state from 9 a.m. to 9:45. And then they will have the International Celebration of Life. And again, that will be in Raleigh, North Carolina on today. So certainly he was a great man of God, great songwriter. He wrote the song, Count Your Blessings, count your blessings, count your blessings, and you'll see what God has done. All right, I don't have no music. I do, but it's not the music to that song. But so we want to continue to pray for everyone who has lost someone during this time. It's very difficult when you lose people, especially around the holiday time. So we want to keep you in prayer and continue to pray for the Hawks family. I know this has been very difficult for Deacon Hawks and his sister Christina and his wife, Lady Praise, and family in the passing of his mom. And so it's hard around the holiday time. So we want you to pray for everyone who has lost someone during these difficult times. I have a few announcements that I want to keep everyone up to date and make sure that you're aware. Someone had inbox, well, I shouldn't say inbox, put on my Facebook page. They wanted to know when the groundbreaking for the ShopRite in Atlantic City. I did contact Mayor Small, and he said it would be sometime in the spring. When I get an actual date, I will make sure that you are aware of the actual date for the groundbreaking of ShopRite. And so we want to make sure that you have that down. Also, the Fellowship of Churches of Atlantic City and vicinity will be having our annual Union Revival, and it's going to start tomorrow. Sunday, January 5th. All of the Sunday services will start at 3:30, and the weeknight services will start at 7 p.m. Tomorrow, from January 5th to January 10th, is going to be at the St. Paul AME Church. The host pastor is Reverend Deidre C. Bell. And then from 1:12 to 1:17, it's going to be at the Trinity Atlantic City Church. Pastor Antonio Gandy is the host. And closing out on the 19th, it will be at Our Lady Star of the Sea Church. Reverend John Thomas is the host pastor. So we want you to bear all of those announcements in mind and come out and support the Fellowship of Churches. Also, there will be the Women's March is going to be held again. I just received this communication on yesterday. The Atlantic City Women's We Rise Together March will be held on Saturday, January the 18th, and the march will begin at 10:30 a.m. from New Jersey Avenue, and they're going to go to the boardwalk, and the march will be from 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. And some of the featured speakers on that day will be Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver, Assemblywoman Shavonda Sumter, Jenny Frisbee LaRue, and many other women and others will be there to speak on that particular day, which will be on the 18th. Also, on January the 20th, the Dr. Martin Luther King federal holiday is rapidly approaching. The Atlantic City NAACP will have their annual event that day. The march They gather at 11 o'clock a.m. and they walk and they march from the Dr. Martin Luther King School complex to the Civil Rights Garden, and then from the Civil Rights Garden to St. James AME Church on New York and Arctic Avenues. The march will end and the program will begin at 12 noon at St. James AME Church, and the speaker this year will be Reverend Latasha Milton of Asbury United Methodist Church in Atlantic City. So we're hoping that everyone can attend and join with their congregation or organization to be a part of this great event that will be coming up. And they've been doing this annually for many, many years. And I have to say, they're still holding on. So we want to thank the NAACP for keeping the dream alive. Keeping the dream alive. And you got to keep the dream alive inside of you as well. And so it's a federal holiday. I don't work on that holiday. Some people have to work, but I don't take any overtime. Well, I can't. But I don't do anything extra because it's the only African American holiday in America that we have. So we want to celebrate. Some people go and they do good things. You know, they help rebuild or paint, or they do some type of, they do something. They're out there doing something, you know, so just do something on that day. But certainly if you can be a part of the march, we want you to be a part of the march. I have not marched. I have always gone to the events, but I have not actually marched because it's cold, you know. But if it's not too cold, I'm going to try to come out this year. I'm not making no promises, but I know I will try to go to the event, but I'm not making no promises with the march. However, it is a good thing to do. It is a good thing to do. So if you're able to do that, we want you to continue to do that. Also, we want you to continue to pray for Benny G. He went home on yesterday, from what I understand. He's been having some health issues, but certainly he's in our prayer. He is a part, or was a part, of the WEHA family for many years, and certainly we're rooting for Benny G to pull through and have a speedy recovery. Well, all right. Well, we're getting ready to move on right now, and we're going to move right on into our interview. I'm excited today about the interview that I'm having today. This person that I'm getting ready to introduce has known me since I was a little girl. I mean, since I was little. And that was many, many years ago. And I can say for over 50 years. It's been over 50 years, I believe. At least over 50 years. And doing a fantastic job in our community, and has been on the wall and has not come down, a faithful servant of God in the person of Bishop Wandell Johnson. Now, I can't say that you don't know who Bishop Wandell Johnson is, but just in case you don't know him, I want him to say something about himself. Hello, Bishop Johnson.
Hello, Thelma and the listening audience. I thank you for inviting me to come to share this time with you. I thank God for the radio station, and I solicit support for this radio station from all of the African American community, at least, and the surrounding communities. This is a voice. This is a station that will give you a voice, and we thank God for that voice. You never miss your water till your well runs dry.
That's true.
Take care of what you have, and God will bless you with more.
Absolutely. My dad would always say, you have to take care of what's taking care of you.
There it is.
And your lovely wife, Pastor Johnson, who's been by your side. How long have you been in ministry?
I've been preaching since 1964. I was licensed to preach at the Morning Star Church, 1964.
1964, I was 2. I was 2 years old. Oh, my Lord. So you've been doing this for a long, long time.
Just for a moment.
Yeah. And how long have you been pastoring?
I've been pastoring for 40 years.
For 40 years. And you and your wife co-founded the Grace Tabernacle
Yes.
Church.
Yes.
Now, originally you were down in Pleasantville.
No. 1977, the Grace Tabernacle Church was established, and we moved from Atlantic City to Pleasantville.
Right. So some people don't know that. They know you from being in Pleasantville.
Yes.
But I knew you started in Atlantic City.
Yes.
That's been many, many years ago, and you've been doing a phenomenal job.
My father sent me out to establish a work, and he told me, don't start in Atlantic City, spread out and spread the gospel. And we tried to, but the doors opened in Atlantic City. And as I was rebelling about starting the work, the doorbell rang, and I answered it, and there was a gentleman who said, I have a building for you. I hear you teaching and you have a home Bible study. Why don't you come and take my building? It's for free, and start a work. And I had been arguing with the Lord about where, what, and when.
Wow.
And at that point, he sent somebody to the door and gave me a building. And then a few days later, somebody came and says, I'm gonna work with you on your new project. I said, huh? Me and my family is coming to join whatever you're doing. And so they were the first families of the church, apart from my personal family. I would be remiss if I didn't recognize my lifelong partner, my wife, Pastor Gloria Johnson,
Yes.
who's been by my side since 1966.
My Lord.
And we thank God for her faithfulness to me and to the call that God has called me in. It's wonderful to run the race together.
Absolutely.
Some people are called, and I had one pastor that said, I've been called, and my wife said she hasn't. Unfortunately, he had a rough road to go.
Oh, I'm sure. Without that support.
But I thank God for Pastor Gloria Johnson, who's been by my side from day one, and my cheerleader on the sideline, just cheering me on, saying we can make it through the challenges of life, through the challenges and the storms of life. She's been right there. So again, before I start talking about anything I have done or any accomplishments that we have made, it could not have happened without a partner walking side by side with you and cheering you on and participating in everything that God has given us to do.
How long have you been married?
Since 1966.
I know. Over 50 years.
Yes, 54 years.
54 years. Oh, yeah. And the reason why I say that because marriage does work.
Yes.
And
yeah.
then there's, before the Obamas,
Yes.
there were the Johnsons, the Witherspoon, the Feasts, the Jerkins,
Yes.
and many others
Yes.
who have still stayed with them to death do them apart or till right now.
Yes.
They're still together. So you are a prime example that marriage does work.
Yes. And any advice I have to the gentleman, yes, dear, always work.
Yes, dear. Well, we thank God for you being here and being an integral part in the community. We're going to talk a little bit about your ministry and the things that you've done, and your community life center, your things you've done in and outside of the ministry. But before we do that, 2020 is a whole new decade. It's a whole new decade. And I didn't have a cliche this year for 2020. I haven't done that in a while. I haven't done resolutions because I'm now doing vision boards. But what would you say to anyone that's listening out for listening to us right now concerning 2020?
Anyone hearing the term 2020 automatically goes to eyesight. And 2020 vision is being able to focus clearly. So 2020, focus in 2020 for the vision.
Absolutely. Everybody's talking about vision. You got to have a vision. Write the vision and make it plain.
The vision doesn't any good if you can't focus on it.
That is
you can't
exactly
focus if you don't have 2020.
All right, 2020, focus on your vision and just continue to keep your eyes focused on God, and it'll be a great year. We're looking for a great year, 2020.
Yes.
You are considered a theologian. You have continued to study God's word in relation to the world. There's a lot going on right now, even as of yesterday in our country. I'm asking everybody, please pray for our country and pray for our president and pray for our local and state leaders.
Yes.
It's important. You know, the Bible does tell us to pray for people. And I have to be honest, I haven't prayed. Not for the I haven't, to be honest with you. I'm not critical, but I just have not prayed. And certainly one place where the church should be is in prayer. We want to speak to that because a lot of people are very nervous right now from what I was watching on the television and don't know if we're going to be in World War III or what the case is going to be. What would you say to that, Bishop?
If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then shall they hear from heaven, and I'll heal the land. That speaks and says it all. God is calling for his people to turn their face to the wall and to seek his face. I talked recently about spiritual hijack. And it seems that our faith is under attack. It seems that the believers who used to believe in the foundational principles of God and the God who is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we could ask or think, somehow that faith has been hijacked. Someone said, how did the hijacker get in? The older folks used to sing a song that says, don't let the devil ride.
If you let him ride,
he'll want to drive.
he'll want to drive. Don't let him ride. I remember that song.
So we have allowed things to come in to shape our concept of things. You can add some spices to whatever you're putting together. But then if you add too much of anything, it alters the construction of what you're doing. What we have done is we've allowed things to come into our faith, which now has distorted our faith. And those people who are now learning the faith learn a distorted faith.
Right.
And so you ask, where did they get that from? Well, the people who were directing them and leading them compromised and allowed other things to come in.
Right.
So much so until our faith now is unrecognizable.
Wow.
The founding fathers of the faith would shudder if they heard what we call our faith. It has become theatric rather than something foundational. Listen, the old mothers used to go in that closet and turn their face to the wall and cry out to God, and God would respond in a supernatural way, and healing would be wrought. You asked the question, in the local churches, whether they be Methodist, Baptist, Pentecostal, or whatever, is there any signs from heaven? Because remember, the first church was recognized and grew because of signs and wonders.
You know what? We on our way to church now. That's Bishop Johnson, the theologian. We going to talk on that. But listen, my show is a community show, but I had to bring this in since it was the beginning of the year.
Yes.
And people are nervous.
Yeah, they need to focus.
They need to focus. You need to focus.
Don't become distraught by what they hear. Things are changing, yes. Unfortunately, the global planet is changing to prepare for the next wave of the prophetical layout. And most people are unaware because we don't go into Revelation. We don't talk about that much. The church doesn't even know about it. Right. And when a pastor stands up and say Revelation, they say, where is that?
Right, because they don't know.
Because it's not taught in the church. And what's happening today has already been laid out in the book of Revelation. So again, where we're going? We're going into some challenging times. I must say to the church, if you ever learn to pray,
right,
it's praying time. If you want to see souls' lives change, it's going to have to start with people who have a heart for souls.
Absolutely.
Who have a heart for God, who have a passion for God. You see, a male and a female comes together, and because they have a passion for each other, they serve each other. We love God because we have a passion for him and we serve him. You don't have to ask me if you serve God, if you love God. Just watch your service.
Just watch your service to him. So that's, listen, you can hear more at Grace Tabernacle, 225 Shaitland Avenue in Pleasantville, New Jersey. 224 Shaitland Avenue in Pleasantville, New Jersey. We're going to move on to the social side of it, but we wanted to talk a little bit about it because, like I say, you have to be up to date of what's going on in the world, in our country. It's some serious times, so, but keep your faith strong and know that we'll make it through it. You served for 12 years at the Fellowship of Churches as vice president.
Yes.
And you also conduct a monthly outreach at the Atlantic County Jail. How long have you been doing that, and what does that entail?
I tell people that I have been sentenced. The Lord placed this on my heart, and on one of my young ministers, Pastor Eric McCoy. And Pastor Eric McCoy was, still is, a dynamite young man for God. And God called him to the prison. And quite naturally, he comes back to the pastor and says, Pastor, God has given me the prison ministry. Can we go? Can we go?
Can we go?
And of course, I said yes. And so from that point on, some 20 years ago, we have been in the prison ministry. We serve once a month in the prison ministry. We serve once a month at the Atlantic City Rescue Mission. And we serve once a week at Grace Community Family Life Center in our feeding program. So we cover the jails, we cover the rescue mission, and we cover a feeding program at the church. And the Life Center has been a holistic ministry. So,
absolutely. And we're going to talk about the Life Center. And many people don't know the works that people do. So sometimes they throw daggers at the church. The church ain't doing nothing. But it's just because you don't know about it don't mean that it's not being done.
True.
So for 20 years you've been going out to the Atlantic County Jail,
yes,
and doing reaching those who have been incarcerated, who made mistakes intentionally or unintentionally,
right.
And then going to the rescue mission for those that are homeless.
Yes.
And working with partnershiping with the Atlantic City Rescue Mission, and then going to your own church, Grace Community Family Life Center. And how long has that been in operation?
The Life Center has been in operation for about 15 years.
About 15 years.
I may stand corrected because days and years go by so quickly, it's sometimes challenging for me to pinpoint the actual year.
But before people were talking about those type of centers,
right.
I remember you were among the first.
Yes.
To talk about having a family life center.
Yes.
It's a holistic approach. So where you're dealing with the whole person, we're a feeding program, and you've been doing that a phenomenal job for many, many years. You and Pastor Gloria Johnson.
Yes. Pastor Johnson has taken the bull by the horn as far as the Life Center's feeding program. Prior to we going directly into the feeding program, we had that and it dovetailed into our one-stop program at the Life Center, where we met all of the needs of the people, whatever the need was. If you showed up at our Life Center before they had the one-stop, we had the one-stop. We had all of the social agencies. We were connected to all of the social agencies, and we could do referrals and whatever the need was. If you showed up at the Life Center, we could help you in some way, whether it was a social need, whether it's a educational need, or whatever that need was. If you showed up to the Life Center, we could help you. We're not full-fledged at that now. We have diversified into other areas and working with multiple venues, and I think that when we do things together, there is success. It's not about the big I or the big U. It's each person finding their spot and doing effectively what God has called them to do.
Absolutely. And so the feeding program is every week.
Well, at the Life Center. Yeah, at the Life Center, we have a food pantry.
Right.
And our food pantry falls into a different category than a lot of the food pantries. Our food pantry says this, that the criteria for eligibility is this: if you have a need, we will meet that need. If you have to decide whether to pay your rent or buy food, we say, pay your rent, come to us, we'll give you a 3-day supply of food. If next week rolls around and now your car payment is due or the food is due, we say, pay the car payment, keep riding, come to us,
Right.
get 3-day supply of food until you get up on your feet. Then you don't need us anymore. Move on and let someone else come in who has a need. And doors have been opening for us in that venue. I've been hauling food in the vehicle that the church has allowed me to drive.
Yeah, you need a truck, Bishop. You need a truck. You got to get the food out your vehicle.
Yeah, and so the doors have been opening for us to get the supplies of food that we need to service the community. And so God has opened those doors, and now He's sending us some help. You know, sometimes God wants to see how long you can do what you do and how faithful you'll do, and then He'll send you some help. And so God has brought a team around, and Pastor Johnson has a tremendous team in those persons who are helping to distribute the food when people come in. Oh my goodness, it's like coming to a family affair when you walk in to get food.
That's true.
People are so friendly and helpful to you, and you go out with some food to feed your family. So hats off to Pastor Gloria Johnson, who thinks she runs the program. I told people that I run it, and they look at me and say, yeah, until Pastor Gloria shows up. And we thank God for her because she can pull the military platoon and say, this is the way it is, and this is the way it's going to be, and it's a happy family. Sometimes when people know the rules, then they know where not to step across the line. But unless you tell them, they just run rampant. So again, there's structure to our program. People are fed, people are happy.
And what is the time?
We're open on Wednesdays from 1 to 3.
From 1 to 3.
Don't press the 3.
Don't get there at 2:55. 1 to 3.
The reason I say don't get there at 2:55 because there may not be anything left at 2:55.
There may not be nothing left. Listen, we're getting ready for a break, and we're talking with Bishop Wandell Johnson. He is the CEO of the Grace Community Family Life Center. We want you to keep those dials locked to WEHA. We'll be right back.
Hey, you like football? I know you like football. You looking for a place to watch the Super Bowl? Well, we got you a place to watch some dart football. WEHA's gonna hook you up because Gospel 88.7 and 100.3 FM WEHA We Have Gospel presents the Sunday Super Bowl Buffet. That's right, it's a buffet going down where you can watch the Super Bowl and eat your favorite foods. It's a large buffet of heavy appetizers and desserts, assorted juices, sodas, punch, and plenty of H2O. It's even going to have some halftime games and giveaways. You know when it's happening, Super Bowl Sunday. That's right, Sunday, February 2nd, 2020. Doors open at 5 p.m. Kickoff is at 6:30 p.m. at the Beacon Hall, 243 St. Louis Avenue, Egg Harbor City, New Jersey. Admission is $20 per person, $10 for children 12 and under. And you better RSVP because it's limited seating. You want tickets? Do you want tickets? I said, do you want tickets? The number to call is 609-641-8870. Or you can get your tickets at WeHaveGospel.com. Super Bowl Sunday, you got to be at Beacon Hall to see the big game. Of course, we're rooting for the Eagles around here. We're so happy that they got farther than Dallas this year.
WEHA, Christ-centered, community-focused, Deacon William Hawks, President, Fellowship of Churches of Atlantic City and Vicinity, Annual Union Revival, Sunday, January 5th through Sunday, January 19th, 2020. Theme, Stay Connected. Scripture, John 15, 5 through 8. Revival schedule, Sunday services, 3:30 p.m. Weeknight services, 7 p.m. nightly. Services are as follows. Location, St. Paul AME Church, Pleasantville, New Jersey. Reverend Dietrich C. Bell, host pastor. Sunday, January 5th. Presiding elder, Linda T. Rasman. Monday, January 6th. Pastor Batu Mukanayi. Tuesday, January 7th. Pastor Derek Comer II. Wednesday, January 8th. International Night. Pastor Leo Park. Thursday, January 9th. Pastor Collins A. Days Sr. Friday, January 10th. Youth Night. Pastor Antonio Gandy. Location, Trinity AC Church, Atlantic City. Pastor Antonio Gandy, host pastor. Sunday, January 12th. Reverend Dr. John Howard Sr. Monday, January 13th. Women's Night. Reverend Raina K. Hendricks. Tuesday, January 14th. Reverend Marion McLaurin. Wednesday, January 15th. Reverend Willie D. Francois III. Thursday, January 16th. Reverend Latasha Williams. Friday, January 17th. Men's Day. Reverend Dr. Robert F. Hargrove II. Location, Our Lady Star of the Sea Church, Atlantic City. Reverend John Thomas, host pastor. Sunday, January 19th. Reverend Dr. Odinga L. Maddox II. For more information, Fellowship of Churches of Atlantic City and Vicinity. P.O. Box 1424, Absecon, New Jersey. Telephone number 609-553-0001. Reverend Dr. R. Fulton Hargrove II, President.
This is Bishop R. Fulton Hargrove II, President of the Fellowship of Churches, and I approve this message.
How long does it take to get to the forest?
That's not far.
What are we gonna do, right?
Sure.
Are we there yet?
Yep. It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org, brought to you by the Ad
Do you have
Council
an
and
event
Forest
coming up and
Service.
need a facility? Well, let me tell you about Atlantic County's newest banquet facility, Beacon Hall, located in the heart of Egg Harbor City, right off the Whitehorse Pike. Beacon Hall is a full-service banquet facility that is 5,000 square feet with an attached parking lot. Book your conferences, book signings, birthday parties, bridal showers, baby showers, weddings, repasts. No event is too big or too small. You can book your next event by calling us at 609-965-4255 or email us at bookbeaconhall@gmail.com. That's BOOKBEACONHALL @gmail.com. Try Beacon Hall, where we turn moments into cherished memories.
You use Tearless Baby Shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bathwater to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13.
Hold on, Deacon Hall.
Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. That's safercar.gov/the right seat.
A message from the
Reliance Medical Group is celebrating 35 years of providing quality health care to this community. Specializing in women's health care, pediatrics, and adult medicine, Reliance considers your family to be their family by providing multicultural physicians and bilingual staffing that understand your medical needs. Reliance is pleased to announce new specialty services, including neurology, corrective and cosmetic surgery, and bariatric weight loss. Reliance offers same-day appointments, accepts most insurance plans, and is is currently seeking new patient enrollments. To schedule an appointment, you can call Reliance at 1-855-RELIANCE, or you can log on to their website at reliancemedicalgroup.net, or download the Reliance app to find a location near you. Reliance Medical Group, where access to quality health care is a right, not a privilege.
Tune into In the Community with Thelma Witherspoon, Saturdays 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Gospel 88.7 FM. If you just tune in, you're listening to In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon right here on your favorite gospel radio station, WEHA Gospel 88.7, 100.3 FM. We have gospel. This broadcast has been brought to you by the Hawks Family Businesses, who've been serving our community for over 30 years. Also, Beacon Hall, turning moments into memories, and Grace Tabernacle Church, Bishop Wandell Johnson, and Pastor Gloria Johnson and James Adams. Thank you so much for supporting In the Community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon on WEHA. We have a caller on the line. Hello?
Good morning, Dr. Thelma. This is Deacon Hawks.
Oh, hi, El Presidente. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Happy New Year to you and all of your wonderful listeners who have been supporting WEHA and in the community with Dr. Thelma Witherspoon for 10 years now. We thank God for it, and I just wanted to call in and wish everybody a happy New Year, blessed and prosperous New Year. And I thank God because God is still on the throne.
Absolutely.
Also, I want to definitely give honor to your illustrious guests, none other than the one and only Dr. Wendell Johnson, and Dr. Bishop Wendell Johnson, and he's my good friend, and I was really glad to turn on the radio and hear him on, particularly the first show of the new year. I think that's very in order. Bishop Johnson, he's not only a friend, but he's one of the most encouraging, one of the most gracious people that you're ever going to meet. And I'm thankful for all of his support and encouragement throughout the 10 years. He's been definitely a shoulder that I've been able to lean on through this 10 years because he does have radio experience. And so I've been able to kind of glean from him and talk to him about a lot of aspects of the radio business, not only from in front of the scenes, but even behind the scenes, technical antennas and all of that good stuff. So I'm thankful to him. And I'm not going to hold you. I'm going to let you get back to your show, but I just wanted to call in and wish everybody a happy new year. I would tell Bishop Jerk, because that's my pastor, Bishop Johnson, the only thing that I would encourage him to do is to work on his golf game a little bit in 2020.
No, you did not. No, you did not.
He's one of my golf partners.
Well,
and,
I want to.
He's one of my golf partners.
I want to take that advice because you can drive the ball further than me. And I'm going to leave that right where it is.
Hey, look, he's not going to put that on me. He's one of the most humble people I know, and his game, he's out there in the snow and the rain, practicing and everything. So he's not going to put it. But I look forward to getting back out there with him when the Lord should say the same. God bless you guys and appreciate everything. Dr. Thelma, congratulations to you. I hope I'm not out of order,
No.
but I want to congratulate you on your impending induction to the pastorship, to
Thank
the senior
you.
pastorship of the Great Westminster Christian Fellowship Church. And I thank God for you and your commitment to the ministry. And you will make a very, very fine senior pastor. And I know that the ministry will continue to be in good hands. And we also give respect and honor, of course, to your dad, my friend, Pastor Luke Witherspoon, and Pastor Juanita Witherspoon. So God bless you, Thelma, and all the best. And congratulations on that appointment. It's well deserved.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very humbled by that. Thank you so much for calling in.
God bless you. And thank you for your shout out and your prayers this morning, too. I heard that, too, and I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
God bless you. We thank El Presidente for calling in on the show today. What wonderful encouragement, and wishing everybody a happy new year. And we're going to continue on with our conversation with Bishop Johnson.
Let me piggyback on what El Presidente said in regards to your elevation. It is well deserved. You have been groomed for this position ever since you were a little girl. Your dad threw you right out there in the forefront and said, Thelma, I'm counting on you. And as you led you had your first congregation, your sisters and brothers. And he put the responsibility of leadership upon you, even in the house. He said, Thelma, I'm going out. And he would turn to the kids and say, whatever Thelma tell you to do, you better do it. And you had your father's backing as a little girl, and guess what? You still have his backing, and he sits back and with a big smile on his face. When you're going forth, him and your mother just grin because they know they have done their best, and it shows. And again, God has used you, and you have been humbled and obedient to your family, to your pastor, and to your God. And so, again, God honors you. Your family honors you, and the work is in a good hand.
Thank you so much. That is so appreciated, and I'm very humbled by that. Thank you so much, and I appreciate it as everyone to continue to keep me in your prayers as I continue to do what God has called me to do in the spiritual realm.
Yes.
And also in our community. We're going to continue talking with Bishop Johnson, who also has done a lot into the prison, New Jersey State Reentry Task Force. We want to talk a little bit about that because there are a lot of people who are coming out, and we need people on the task force that can speak for people and services. What kind of services are available for the reentry?
Well, my entry into this program began many years ago when it was in its infancy, and the state was looking at how they would address the reentry program. And so they called the clergy together, and I think it was Christy Todd Whitman. And we went up to Trenton, and they began to formulate a new look at the reentry task force. And the task force was formed, and we were a part of it. And it was helping people who, what they were trying to do was stem the tide of recidivism.
Right.
And they're saying the jail has become a revolving door. They come in, they go out. They come in and they go out. They come back in. And so what can we do to alter that? And so, again, they wanted to get the clergy involved. And so we became involved in helping not only those persons who were found themselves behind what we call the 8-ball, and saying, what can we do to alter that and to change that, preparing them while in prison to come and return back to society and to function in a orderly way. And a lot of times all they really needed was a helping hand. All they needed was to be redirected.
Right.
They weren't bad, they just simply did some bad things. And so then taking them and giving them hope. That's the bottom line. People are hopeless. They're wandering around trying to figure out, what do I do? And introducing them to new interests, new ways. There are some things that you can do, but you don't know you can do them because they've never been presented to you. And somebody says, you can do that? Yes. And so then redirecting their energy into a way that it would be functional for them and beneficial to them. And so, and many times then dealing with employers.
Right.
Because people who have gone afoul of the law find themselves branded, because I had a young man who came to me, and we tried to get him into the program, and so he was successful. He went to when the casinos were first opening up, and they hired him, and he worked so hard but he had a choice to make. When he was filling out the application, he said, if I tell them that I've been incarcerated, there's 3 people in front of me. I won't even get a chance. So he neglected to tell them. They hired him, and he was the best person for the job, doing the job, excellent, and got rave reviews in his 3 months, 6 months, and then somebody pulled his record.
And he got fired because he did not listen.
He got fired immediately, and they were regretfully firing him because they needed him, because he was doing what they would have to have 3 people do, because he had a way of organizing so that he could minimize the workload. But then because of that blemish, he was back in my lap looking for something else to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Now I understand that if you list it now, that they will continue to help you, but you got to put it on the paper
and then take your chances. But
right.
Before you didn't stand a chance.
Before you didn't stand a chance. So the task force, I think,
right.
it has helped with me, because many people come out, they cannot get a job.
No,
they can't get a job. So recidivism was coming right back because they go back to the same thing.
And then they were hit with, now you got to make payments. So,
right.
So you have to get a job. You got to make these payments, and you're like, well, no one's going to hire me. So how am I going to make the payments if I can't get a job? I can't get a job because you guys are not helping me to open a door for me. So we were dealing with employers, trying to get them to go along with our program, to take these people on, and saying, hey, if there is a problem with them, contact us before you make a decision and see if we can't work something out. Because sometimes people were not acclimated to a work schedule.
Right.
And there are many little things. And sometimes people would simply watch your work performance, and every time you have an infraction, they would charge it against you instead of coming to you and saying and coaching you through it. If you don't know you're doing something wrong, but you're being graded on it, if someone would pull you to the side, say, hey, that's not the way to do that. That's going to get you in trouble. Don't do that. If you make a mistake, go to the boss and say, listen, I know I was supposed to do this, but I didn't. And again, now you're looking for favor and leniency. But if you ignore it and he discovers it and you didn't bring it to his attention, now you're out the door. Again, we were able to coach people into how to deal with a situation, a problem. Many times, no one has told you how to deal with a problem. No one has told you honesty is the best policy. And instead of being honest,
you're trying to hide it
or you think it'll go away.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't go away. Listen, when you have certain felonies and crimes, you can't drive a school bus, you can't get any medical. You can't work in the medical field.
A lot of restrictions.
There are a lot of restrictions in working if you have felonies.
Right.
So you come out and you're trying to start over again, but it's very hard to start over again. It can be done. I've seen it. It can be done, but you need reentry programs. I saw on Facebook maybe about 3 weeks ago, Stephen Young and a group of people, men, they are trying to work with the prison reentry programs as well.
Stephen and I talk constantly.
Yeah.
I'm backing away from a lot of the things that we used to do. Once you go over 70, it's sometimes you need to let younger people step up and do what they do and stop weighing in, because when you weigh in, you come in.
That's true.
And when you come in, you bring both hands. You bring your whole hands and arms and feet and mind. And so now you're in. So I'm trying to back away from these things. So I don't show up to a lot of meetings. I don't show up to a lot of events because, my days have come and gone.
But you know what? He called the young because he's strong. He called the old because they know the way that's enjoyable. All right?
Yes.
So we still need the older people. You may not have to have your hands in, but we still need the wisdom that you carry to help. Because sometimes, I remember when I first came to the Fellowship of Churches, I'm a hothead. I was a hothead. And I don't know whether it was my red hair. I don't know what it was. But if I saw something, I was like immediately like, it wasn't that I was wrong.
You speak on it.
I was just speaking on it like right away. And you pulled me to the side and said, that was right, but maybe you should have held off a little bit. And I thought about it, and you know what I did? I went to God in prayer and said, God, show me how to work with the Fellowship of Churches. This I'm talking about years ago when I first started, not recently. And because they were older men, right? I'm young, I'm a female, and I'm coming in there and I said, ba 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. And it wasn't wrong, but sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And so that wisdom, it helped me, during that particular time. So we need the older people, men and women, who have wisdom to lead the younger people or give them direction on which way they should go. So you don't have to be in there marching, or you don't have to have all your hands, both hands and both feet, but we still need the wisdom.
I encourage people, I say, listen, the right thing done the wrong way becomes the wrong thing.
That's true.
And they're not, sometimes they say, well, if I'm right, I'm just right. Hold it. If you're right, but it's the wrong time or the wrong place,
right?
Then that becomes, and then the Bible says, don't let your good
be evil
spoken of.
That's right.
So sometimes you have it's the good heart, and coaching is very important. So I'm on the coaching line now.
That's good. We don't want you to come out of the coaching line. I tell my dad that all the time. We still need y'all. We still need the coaching line, to be out there. So we're happy for that. The people who are out there doing something or trying to improve life for the betterment of those re-entering into society.
I joined the Fellowship of Churches in 1968. I think I'm the longest serving person in the fellowship at this point.
Wow.
So 1968 was when this young kid joined the Fellowship of Churches. And so I thank God for this to stay with the fellowship.
And you paved the way for many Pentecostals. There were no Pentecostals that I knew of.
Just one, J.J. Walton.
Oh, J.J.
Thomas.
J.J. Thomas.
Yes.
But there wasn't many.
Right.
There wasn't many in there at that particular time. Right. But now it's multiple, and you need diverse group of people.
Diversity is very important.
Diversity. If you want to get something done,
yes,
you need diversity. Again, if you want your dreams or your visions to come to pass,
get the right team.
You have to have the right team.
Yes,
and that's very important.
Yes. Inclusiveness really is very important, especially on social orders, on social lines and political lines and spiritual lines. It is very important to be including people. Sometimes we live in a society now where a whole lot of people feel not counted or not valued, and that their opinion doesn't matter or they don't matter. But bringing people who are standing on the sideline and says, hey, come on, there is something you can do. You can participate. You can have a voice. Maybe your voice needs culturing. Maybe your voice needs to be shaped, but you have one.
Right.
And just bring what you have. Being able to take people where they are and take them to the next level is so important. And I think our society isn't doing it. Our social groups aren't doing it, and our churches aren't doing it. Sometimes the church is the most cliquish place you can go, and then it becomes a status thing. What are you wearing? Or what? I wore this years ago in 1962 and 63. I had one black suit, and when you saw me coming, I had my black suit on. It's the only suit I had.
Yeah, but a man can get away with that. They can change the shirt and the tie. We can't get away with that. But but speaking to the truth of, it's not what you have on, it's what's in your heart.
Exactly.
So we have to be able to do it. We have a few minutes, Bishop. What would you like to leave with my listening audience today?
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness, and all things will be added. If you want the added things, you must do the first things first. Seek God first. It doesn't matter. Listen, cream rises to the top. it just doesn't automatically show up to the top.
It rises.
It rises to the top. And so it's so important for us to realize that life is a progression. And you've got to agitate things at the bottom. You stick your spoon down in the bottom and you agitate what's on the bottom and let it come to the top. Let me say this to you, that if you want better, you have to think better. If you think better, then you can do better. It's as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so seek ye first the kingdom of God and its righteousness. And the Bible said all these things. Let me say this to you. He will cause men to bless you. Listen, blessings are around you. And all you have to do is embrace the kingdomship. First of all, you are kingdom-minded if you want to have kingdom success. If you don't want to have kingdom success, then be carnal-minded, but to be kingdom-minded. And that is, I want what God wants. If you want what God wants what you want.
Absolutely. Listen, it has been very enjoyable having you on the program today, spreading your wisdom. Give us the address to Grace Tabernacle and your service times.
Our service times is 224 our location is 224 Shadeland Avenue. Our service times is we're having service at 11 o'clock
on Sundays.
On Sunday mornings, and we have a Bible study on Tuesdays at 7:30. I am the bishop of about 7 churches, and we have 3 churches that's under my auspices using our church at this time. These are our churches. These are not. We're not renting churches. We have our people who we license and set up.
Thank you for serving us today.
2CF Atlantic City.
Hey, you like football? I know you like football. You're looking for a place to watch the Super Bowl? Well, we got you a place to watch some dark football. WEHA's going